Hello, this is Father Louis Scurti with Friends of the Word. Today is the first Sunday of Advent, the coming season, preparing the way of the Lord in many ways, in history, in our hearts, in the sacraments, and of course celebrating the fact that He is with us always. Thank you for joining us on Friends of the Word. Share this homily with family and friends and pass it on. If you'd like to contact me, lscurti@hotmail.com. God bless you. Prepare the way of the Lord. The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus said to his disciples, "As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. In those days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving into marriage, right up to the day that Noah entered the ark. They did not know until the flood came and carried them all away. So will it be at the coming of the Son of Man. 2 men will be taken out of the field. One will be taken, one will be left. 2 women will be grinding at the mill. One will be taken, one will be left. Therefore stay awake. You do not know on which day your Lord will come. Be this as sure as you can be. If the master of the house had known the hour of night when the thief was coming, he would have stayed awake and not let his house be broken into. So too, you must be prepared. For an hour that you do not expect, the Son of Man will come." The Gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ. Jesus warns us to be ready all the time, and he tells us that story of Moses. It's a story that's in the mythology of our scriptures, the mythology being a human way of trying to explain God in particular in the antiquities of the floods of the Middle East, the Mesopotamian floods. And there's that story about how everyone was laughing at everyone was laughing at Noah when he started building his ark. And he's building this boat, he's building, everybody's laughing. The king even comes up and he says, "You're a jackass." He says, "It's ridiculous that you're wasting time and energy to build this big boat and taking the animals on the boat 2 by 2. Then the floods come. And it rains, and it rains, and it rains. And the ark is floating away like this. And the king on the top of his castle says, Noah, you have another place for me?" He says, looks around, he says, "No, I have 2 of everything, and we already have a quota on jackasses. So be ready, you don't know when it's going to come." On a very serious note, we could look in our own backyards. An actor, I don't even know who he was, it's on the news this morning, was killed suddenly in a car accident last night. The trains coming from upstate New York. Many people killed, some injured, some we don't even know where they are. I'm sure those people did like you did this morning or last night. You went about your business. You did the normal things that you do. We all do. See, an Advent comes and reminds us of the value of time. Kairos, not time like hour of the day, the hour, like Paul uses it, the hour, the time. You don't know when it's going to be our time. To do what? To be prepared. Because we as Christians have a very historical view of Christ. Christ came in history, and we thank God for that mystery. Christ is with us today, and we celebrate Christ in the sacrament of the Word, sacrament of the Eucharist, all the 7 sacraments. And we look forward to his coming again historically in time, at the end of Kairos, at the end of that time. And we don't know time of day. It could be 1 billion years, it could be next week. We don't know. But there's something Jesus is doing today as he opens up this section of Matthew, that this will begin our cyclical Gospels. Matthew's stories, the Matthean Gospel, will give us a direction through this next cycle. And Jesus does something that I opened up with. He referred to something that happened. I mentioned the actor, I mentioned the train, and Jesus probably talking and says, you know what? If the burglar was planning to jump into that house and ransack that house, if the owner knew that the burglar was coming, he would have locked the doors, he would have battened down the hatches, he would have put a timer on, he would have put his little sensor lights outside, and the burglar wouldn't have broken in. But see, what happens with the burglar and Jesus in that story is like we do with our sensors and our timers and our security cameras. Like my grandmother say, "Dabla kabala," they lock the gate. After the horse runs, then they lock the gate. And most of us in our security systems, we secure and batten down the hatches after the accident, after the intrusion. Years ago, when I was chaplain at the university, we had beautiful little pour boxes installed, 2 or 3, and we had little locks. The guy who made them was very generous. He made them, gave us little locks, so you open them, put the money in, then once a week, you pull out the thousands of dollars that are in there, and never happened. But one day we come in, and they were locked. Okay, they would come in and they were pried open. These were steel. They were pried open. The lock was still attached. And whatever was in there was gone. And I said, let's replace them without the locks. So whoever needs money that badly, and if I'm not here to give them food or money or whatever, let them help themselves. Well, from that day on, they were always unlocked, and there was always money at the end of the week, donations for the poor. So there's something to be the idea of being prepared, not after the fact, but before the fact. And Jesus gives us in the Scripture, we have it every day since we celebrated Advent, no matter if we're brand new kids or if we're senior citizens. We've heard it every year. Be prepared. And it's not like being prepared to die, but it is preparing to die. But it's a bigger issue than that. It's being prepared to say yes to Christ wherever and whenever he comes to us. It may come at the end of our physical lives. It may come at the end of apocalyptic stories of the end of the earth. It may. But it may come tomorrow morning in a way that you don't know. And when Christ comes to us, it's in contradiction to that beautiful section of Paul's letter to the Romans. He's asking us to be aware as people of the light. We dress in the light so that we're aware to not get into the season of preparation with orgies and drunkenness or lust or promiscuity or greed or jealousy. So in other words, the opposite of those, he's asking us, be prepared with generosity, with giving, with humility, with respect, sexual, physical, every kind of respect in society, with justice, and conduct ourselves properly. That's the preparation. We don't have to leave here and say, Scurti spoke about us dying and the end of the world and being ready. No, it's now. It's when you go out. It's when we go out to our cars or we give to the poor. Christ is available to us now, and the method of preparation is the opposite of what Paul is saying we should stay away from. The method of preparation for these next few weeks of Christmas should be a method that is similar to our preparation for our final day. And that's without greed, without lust, without waste, without injustice. And our attitude on this journey should be one of charity. Forget December. All year. Because we're not getting ready as Christians for December 25th. We're getting ready as Christians for the return of Christ in glory. And little 25th is a nice little shot in the arm for all of us. The kids like it, we like it, the elderly like it, we all like it. We get together, we see each other, we communicate. But we communicate and see each other and enjoy each other because Christ is here. We do all those wonderful, warm-hearted things because he's among us. And when we're sharing an eggnog or a drink or a cookie with the stranger or with our family and friends, it's as if we are sharing them with Christ. That's why we're doing it. That's why we can enjoy ourselves. When you buy your gifts, do it with justice. Know where they're made. And whatever you buy for your kids or your family, your grandchildren, your grandnieces and nephew, you also give to charity. And if you can't afford that much to charity, then don't buy that much of materialistic things that weigh us down. What I buy, I keep aside, and I make that same donation to Eva's Village, in our local area, Catholic Relief Services, Catholic Charities, Oxfam, it doesn't matter. Because our destiny is, as Isaiah said, our destiny is as a family of God to be ascending his mountain. Our family going to God, celebrating as we're singing, and as the responsorial song mentions, along the way, we're going up to the house of God, the Lord our God, and we're going to set our feet into his holy city, Jerusalem, built as a city, compact unity, welcoming all people. That's how we prepare for the 4 weeks of Advent. That's how we prepare for the return of Christ in glory. With an attitude of celebration and an attitude of respect. With an attitude, as Christ says, of alertness. You don't know where he's going to come. He may be outside as soon as you leave here. Not with the long hair, the beard, and the sandals, and the red and white outfit. No. He might look, do me a favor. Look to your left. Everybody, look to your left. I'm good. And then look to your right. He might look like that. You want to continue? Look to the back. He might look like me, God forbid. Oh, he'll look like Jasmine there. You see where Christ is? See, he already is. So don't get caught, let's not get caught up in celebrating Jesus is coming on December 25th. He's here. He's coming at the end of the Kairos, when the time is right, and you don't know when that is. That's the one we need to get ready for. And if you need to get ready for the big one by celebrating the small one, the Advent in history, this year, knock your socks off. We can do it. And therefore, as we move through the season, we put the flowers, we'll put the tree eventually, we'll put the presepio eventually, and we'll put a little few ribbons and garlands. It's all right. Some people get upset. We're celebrating Christmas too early. Well, in some of the department stores, September, that's a bit much. But the hell with that. Celebrate it as Advent, the true Advent, with the small c. So if you see the wreaths hanging in the middle of the mall in July or August or September, it's Advent. They're getting ready without even knowing it, the secret, without even knowing, they're getting for the Kairos, the Christ returning in time. Oh, I know, they think they're getting ready for the December 25th and the sales and the Black Fridays and the half prices on the December 26th. That's what they think they're getting ready for. Shh. Through our lives and through our attitudes, our love and our sharing, our celebrating, we're getting ready for the return of Christ in glory. The advent of our destiny. The advent of creation. When he comes and we least expect him, and then we take time, and before that take time to beat our swords into plowshares and work for peace and not vie for power. It's a long process. We've had 2,000 years, and then we had the prophet Isaiah a few hundred years before Christ preparing us, And we're still making bombs, and we're still making drones, and we're still fighting, and we're still looking at torment on our in our newspapers and our TV stations and everywhere about what's going on in Syria, what's going on in Egypt, what's going on in the Middle East, what's going on in our own town, our own country, and the blood is still there. So we've got a long way to go, and we've got a lot to do to prepare the way and the return of the Lord.